Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Folks Talkin Sports. The Houston Roundball Review presents Folks Talkin Sports, sponsored by 5 Star Properties. I'm Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Joining me is Willy Gibson from Ohio. How are you, sir?
I'm phenomenal, sir. How about you?
Ooh, phenomenal. Very good. I'm okay. And Andy Yanez is the third member of the trio. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Kris.
Well, I'm going to give Andy some grief. Andy's big time. He's big time.
I'm not big
He
time.
came back from Birmingham, Alabama via private jet.
Oh,
Willy Gibson, yes. Mattress Mac, find the crew and the family back from Birmingham back to H-Town. So, yeah, he's big time, Will.
the P thing. Yeah.
I'm not big time, Will, but I would like to say thank you to Mattress Mac and Landon Gosselin, who were part of that flight coming back. It was certainly an interesting journey. And Kris, as you can attest to the minute break report that I did from outside of Legacy Arena running towards the car that I had to catch so I could get my butt on that plane in time, it was madness after Houston's comeback victory over Auburn in the second round.
But, yes, how was the flight, man? What's it like? Let the little folks know. What's it like?
It's the flight itself is just like any other traditional flights. Like the plane in and of itself is much smaller and interesting aerodynamics. You feel every turbulence a lot more. I'll just leave it at that. And I mean, it's certainly an interesting experience in and of itself, especially from where you go to get on the plane and just the whole process. But I mean, at the end of the day, flying is flying.
Spoke like a big timer, Will. Doesn't phase him at all. Doesn't, young fellas like, hey, flying is flying,
Hey.
Okay, we're going to talk about UH men's basketball win over Auburn Saturday to advance to the Sweet 16. But the first part, and we're going to talk about the Rockets. And Will, you and Andy allowed me some time to make fun of the national guys because darn that culture, Will. The Rockets have won 3 in a row, and the culture thing. Well, I mean, what's up with that culture with the Rockets? They're supposed to be infighting and locker room turmoil, all that kind of stuff, and they won 3 in a row. Oh, go figure. But anyway, imagine that. Andy Yanez. I believe I told you were the first folks I told, Will as well. While I was in Fort Worth for the AAC championship, I was told that the University of Houston athletics had decided to bring back Ronald Hughey as head coach of women's basketball. So Coach Hughey will be going into his 10th season and the first season when the Cougs enter the Big 12 for 2023, July 1st, officially. Andy, what was your reaction when I told you?
I was shocked that the decision had been made so quickly. Now, Houston came so close to finally getting over the hump, getting into the NCAA tournament. They led for a good chunk of that American Athletic Conference championship game. Obviously, when South Florida fell in the conference tournament, all eyes turned like this is the big break that Houston needed to be able to finally break through that glass ceiling. And also close, but at the end of the day, the struggles that have been persistent all year long is what doomed Houston against East Carolina, and at the end of the day was the inability to put the biscuit through the basket, to quote Kelvin Sampson, and they fell short again. And that will make it now, if from what you were told is correct, Ron Hughey will be entering his 10th season, correct? 2024.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Not a single one of those 10 years has included an NCAA tournament berth, although 2 of those 10 have come really close, obviously, in 2021, being the first team out in the NCAA tournament for an at-large bid, and then, like I mentioned, being a few points away from finally being an NCAA tournament team this year against East Carolina.
Will, what was your reaction when I told you?
Disbelief. Like, well, I'll quote exactly what I told you. Like, what pitchers does he have? Just to keep it a buck. Like, how, Sway? How?
Yeah. Andy, he is factual. Coach Hughey and the program were the first of the first 4 out in the COVID year, and they reached the AAC championship game 2 weeks ago.
First time
Being
under Hughey.
Under Hughey, so yes. But Will, that is still not reaching the NCAA tournament.
It's not, and I go back to what Coach Hughey himself said, that the NCAA tournament is the standard. He said
correct. He said that.
He said that. So to use his quote, he has failed to reach the standard in 9 years. I don't know.
And he said that in the post game, after the championship game that they lost, he said that the NCAA was the standard. Andy, I'm going to say this to you. I don't know if I told you this as well. Thursday at the game, I ran into some folks who are basketball people, coaches, women's basketball coaches who I've known for years. And this was before I was told. I was told about Coach Hughey returning on Saturday. So Thursday, before the title game against East Carolina, who got waxed by the Longhorns in their first round, that's drove by, I think, 35, 40 points. It was the expectation was that Coach Hughey was done. Okay? Coaches who I've known, Kris, he's gone, right? He's gone. The question to me was, who was he looking at to replace him? That's what I got. And I said Thursday, I'm not sure he's going anywhere. Kris, come on now, Kris. They cannot bring this man into the Big 12. Well, I think then you were watching the game, right? You were like, what is this?
Yep.
That was the reaction from a lot of at-large UH fans, that for a lot of them, that was the first time that they had ever seen the women's basketball team this season.
They're not athletic enough. They're not tall enough. They're not skilled enough. That's one of the things I heard a lot. They're not skilled enough for the Big 12. So that was Thursday. When I found out Saturday that he was coming back, I talked to those same folks. Kris, you lying. Kris, come on, Kris. Seriously, Kris? Really, Kris? I'm like, yeah, he's coming back. What are they doing? What is the rationale? And I said, well, I'm not sure. I really don't know. Rationale we heard Sunday was Houston they don't want to make change in the first year of the Big 12.
Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
You go into the first year of the Big 12 with a new coach, you want to have a lot of expectations because a new coach, new conference, give the coach a new chance, bring in his or her own players. You expect some bumps and bruises because it's the first year in a better conference. But sticking with the same person going into the 10th season, that makes even less sense. And if anyone's watching who says, well, have you told Kris Pesman? Hell yeah. Yeah. I've told him this for a couple years now. Yeah. So this is not news to him at all. My opinion of the job Coach Hughey has done with the program. This is not news to Coach Hughey. He knows where I stand. Get to the NCAA tournament. He has not done that. Look down the opposite side of the building, Andy. Kelvin Sampson was hired, weeks apart from Coach Hughey, same year. And what has he done on the men's side? And then what has Coach Hughey done on the women's side? It's not even close. But I bring all that up to say this because a question that I also get asked, Kris, how serious is Houston about women's basketball? That's a tough question to answer because I don't know. And here's further proof of the pudding. Andy, where do you think Coach Hughey's coaching salary ranks in the Big 12? Will rank in the Big 12?
If I had to guess, and this is without knowing any specifics towards the bottom, maybe towards the tail end, if not worse.
Dead last. Dead smack, dead last with a bullet. Dead last. And also, I'm going to compare or contrast UH with Cincinnati. Also joining the Big 12. Will?
Fired their coach.
Fired their coach, who was hired in 2018. That's after Coach Hughey at Houston. She was getting paid, let me look it up, I believe $400,000. Coach Hughey is getting $250,000. Dead last. The $400,000 is low. Okay. Michelle Clark-Hurd was getting that from Cincinnati. She got fired, I think, a day after they lost in the opening round of the AAC tournament. Okay. Brandon Schneider, Kansas. He's also getting $400,000. He got an extension. His contract is now running through, I think, 26, 27. I'm pretty sure the next head coach at Cincinnati will be getting more than $400K. Just saying. Texas, Vic Schaefer, you know Texas, big time women's basketball. They got money. By far the top salary for coaches in the Big 12 women's basketball coaches, $1.8 million. $1.8 million. Bill Finley, Iowa State is next, $800K. Oklahoma, Jenny Baranchek, $625,000. UCF, first year Satia Messer. UCF did what Houston should have done. They hired Satia Messer this past season, so this is her first year at UCF. So she'll be going into the Big 12, but she has experience in the Big 12. Will, Andy, guess how much she's getting?
550.
North. Yeah, I was gonna say north of 500.
Let's see, 625. Also 625. Jeff Mitty, K-State, $645,000. West Virginia, she's leaving West Virginia to go to Minnesota. She was at WVU for 1 year. Dawn Plithwaite, $550,000. So we can assume West Virginia will be paying at least that much, if not more, for their next head coach in the Big 12. Oklahoma State, J.C. Hoyt, first year, $500,000. Krista Gerlich, Texas Tech, $545,000. Baylor, private institution, but so numbers aren't known, but it's very safe to say it's more than $250,000. Clearly. TCU, private institution, it's unknown. They fired their coach because she wasn't getting things done. In other words, getting to the tournament. They're going to, boy, I won't say it, but there was a rumor about they were going big game hunting for the next head coach. So that means more than $250,000 for sure. BYU, first year head coach. She's getting more than $250,000. It's not even close. $250,000 is $150,000 minimum from the next tier. Coach Hughey is so far, the salary is so dead last. It goes back to the question, Andy and Will. How much do they really care about women's basketball?
Doesn't sound like a lot.
Andy, what do you say? $250,000 this year. I think $260,000 next year. His contract ends after the 25 season.
Like the old saying goes, actions speak louder than your words. And right now, Houston's actions are speaking volumes.
So based on that salary, in a sense, I'm not mad at Coach Hughey because they're paying him, compared to everybody else, peanuts.
Yeah.
I didn't do this, but I've been told, I haven't confirmed it, but I've been told the $250,000 is less than some assistant coaches in the Big 12. That's embarrassing. That's disgraceful. So if Coach Hughey survives the last 2 years of his contract, the next head coach that Houston brings in will have to do what Kelvin Sampson did and lay out a blueprint. How serious are y'all about women's basketball? Because if you are serious about winning, what was the wording, Andy? We're doing the Big 12 to what? To compete for championships.
Correct. And that was by the president, Ronald Couture.
So the next head coach, whoever it is, after this year, next year, whatever, if you're serious about women's basketball and winning, competing for championships in the Big 12, and you want me to take over your program, it's going to cost you this amount of money. You're going to have to do X, Y, Z to be serious, to show me you're serious about women's basketball in the Big 12. Because if you're not, you keep doing what you're doing.
A couple things, if I could. On that, we're in the Big 12 to compete for championships. Also heard Aiden Forget's football coach is fired, so I don't know how much stock I take in that.
Valid.
Two, is it that they're waiting? I'm just listening to those numbers and I thought about it. Is it that they're waiting for the influx of Big 12 funding, money, revenue, because they're paying Coach Hughey $250? They don't have the resources now to go for $425, $550, $625. So maybe this year is to, I don't know, secure the bag, for lack of a better term, to generate those resources to pay the next coach. I don't know. I'm really being challenged to figure out a reason. And I'm not fire coach guy. I'm not take away job guy. I'm not. But it's a results-driven business. And the results, again, going back to his statement, the results haven't been met. And he also said, at that press conference, well, we were never blown out. We were never blown out. And to me, that's not a stamp of approval. That's not a positive statement, because what that tells me is you can't coach in close games.
Yes.
So, but he said it as though it was a badge of courage, like, hey, we never got blown out all year. Well, that tells me that you lost a lot of close games, and you never coached your team up to win close games, is what it tells me.
Andy, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree?
Absolutely. And not even more so where it may seem that about the coaching perspective, but just looking at it from an optics, that, again, the standard is not to compete with these teams. It is to beat them and compete for them for national championships, not compete with them for close losses. And it just puts an overall stink to the program where the expectations are nowhere near where they should be, especially, like you said, Kris, when you look across the hall at inside the Guy V. Lewis development facility, where the men's basketball team has now gotten to their fourth straight Sweet 16 in the past 4 NCAA tournaments. And it's just a night and day difference. And
I'm going to say this, take a moment to thank 5 Star Properties for sponsoring Folks Talkin Sports. This show is sponsored by 5 Star Properties, a Dallas-based company owned by a UH alum. If you're facing foreclosure or you need to sell your house as is for cash, call 972-532-SELL or visit the website at 5starprops.com. That's FIVESTARPROPS.com. I mean, there's so much. the names of folks who were recommended or suggested to me for this job blow you away. There are alums, I guess, who don't watch FTS yet, beginning to, reached out to me and asked, well, is the Houston job in demand? And I had to tell them, yeah, because of the location of the city of Houston, state of Texas, going to the Big 12. The facilities, yes, it's very much in demand. And then it got into, well, how much are they paying? Well, oh, well, maybe that's what it is. Oh, well, that's an issue. And if it's not going to the tournament, going to the big dance, it's got to be money. It's got to be economics. What else is there?
Yep.
Because if they have to be waiting for the Big 12 money, there's really nothing left. And if that's the case, it's not our money. I don't have $250K laying around, in my shoebox or anything. Knock on wood, hopefully I will one day. Andy, especially because he's younger than us.
Yep.
Long to get that rolling. But if you're a big time program, you claim to be a big time program, $250,000 is a drop in the bucket. If you are true to your words of wanting to compete for championships and wanting to get to the NCAA tournament. And let me say this thing again, well, for the first time here on FTS. Houston lost to East Carolina in the title game. ECU was picked preseason dead last. Dead last. The coach has been there, what did I say? 3-4 years?
3 years, I think. Yep. Yes.
Houston was picked preseason second in the conference. Coach Hughey's been there 9 years. He lost to a younger, less tenured coach at ECU and a program picked dead last. How many more signs do you need?
Kris, I want to touch on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add to the point about finance. It very well could be that they just don't have the finance to support making a change. And like you said, we don't know if we're waiting for the Big 12 revenue to come in or anything like that. But look at the football team and the inability to be able to raise funds for the development training facility, the standalone football operations building that they've been promoting since the move to the Big 12 was made.
Yeah.
And that is probably a big eye opener where when you look at Houston fans, and the one thing about University of Houston alums and fans, which, by the way, I got to meet a lot of them throughout the course of the past 2 weeks in Fort Worth and even in Birmingham, which is awesome to meet everyone from associated with alumni that even watch the show. But one thing that they've proven is that they'll support a winner, but if you're not winning, it's going to be really tough to convince them to support. And the football team is seeing that. Even though they're heading into the Big 12, and obviously football is considered the premier sport here in the state of Texas, the on-the-field product hasn't been up to par. While, look at, again, going back to the men's basketball program, they've been winning. They've been succeeding. And that is why they're seeing so much success when it comes to alumni support, both from a attendance perspective and from finance perspective. And even the football team is struggling to see money raised for facilities that they need, which, like I said, it's an eye-opener.
And Will, I want to get your perspective on that. Being from the Ohio State, just your thoughts on what Andy said about Houston alums want to support a winner, and looks like that's it. Whereas you at the Ohio State University, it seemed like Buckeyes support Buckeye sports, period. Is that accurate?
Yes and no. Yes, Buckeyes do support. Yes, at Eddie's point, you want to support a winner. The issue being, or the difference being here in Ohio State, it's ebbs and flows. There's more times than not they're a winner, And yes, they do have those brief lulls where they're not. But you don't want to stop supporting because you know they're coming back. And if you jump off ship, someone else will take your spot, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as far as using women's basketball, there were some lean times, even with men's basketball. I mean, the Schottenstein Center hasn't always been full. The difference being the football team is pretty much perennial national powerhouse. And as Andy said, in most, and I would say all programs, football is the straw that stirs the drink. So football kind of makes up for the shortcomings of your other programs. So yeah, they're going to support. But you got to have, I mean, I've seen women coaches fired. Jim Foster came here, Hall of Fame coach at Vanderbilt came here and got fired. Couldn't get it done here at Ohio State.
After how many years?
9.
Oh, what a coincidence.
I didn't even think about it till you asked me. Like, yeah, he was here 9. And didn't get it done. And he was gone. Kevin McGuff in year 9, he was on the hot seat. Was making NCAA tournaments. Was on the hot seat. Got the 3 seed. Won yesterday. Beat James Madison, hosting North Carolina tomorrow for a trip to the Sweet 16. There were whispers. On Kevin McGuff. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, so I mean, he started 19-0. Kind of hit a dry patch in the season. I think they finished 25-7 after starting 19-0. So 6-7 down the stretch. I'm quite sure there's going to be some whispers in that. But he's a 3 seed in the tournament, hosting a regional, playing for the Sweet 16 tomorrow.
And I'm going to toss this out because I'm not sure what to make of it. If UH is having money problems, and I think that could be legit, but women's basketball, they still write the checks for some of their other opponents in non-conference. So you know what I'm saying? They cut the check to play mid-tier or lower programs, you know, 15, 20, 30,000, whatever, for a guarantee. So, I mean, would you do that if you have money problems? If you're the ones cutting checks for some of these opponents?
That's a valid question. Yeah, that's a valid question.
So it's I'm curious as to what is it going to take? Are we just, as one person who I respect greatly says, well, they're going to keep Coach Hughey. This is before I was told they're going to keep Coach Hughey. This person surmised it. Well, Kris, he might keep Coach Hughey that first year in the Big 12 and just ride the success of Kelvin on the men's side and hope no one notices.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that looks legit.
Wow.
That really does look valid right now because the men's team is 2 wins away from the Final Four in Houston, and then who knows what could happen. Clearly, they have to win Friday, take one game at a time, all those things. But they're in the Sweet 16. I think Kelvin Sampson is probably going to get a raise. And no Houston alums will blink an eye for Coach Sampson to get a raise because he's earned it. Year after year, he's earned it.
Okay. What's if you don't, I mean, I don't know what's Coach Sampson's salary. I'm not a well. I'll just what's his salary if we know.
I'm not sure. Let me see if I can put it up real quick. I might have it, but I'm going to say like $3.5 million, Will, something like that.
Okay.
And if you know exactly, let me know. I'm see if I can pull it up.
Let me look it up real quick.
Because I should have it. It might take me a second because I was all focused on Hughey and his numbers.
Well, no, that kind of answers the question. That answers it because, as you said, maybe it's not a financial situation. Because, I mean, I'm quite sure the athletic department as a whole has resources available to make that happen if
3.3 million.
3.3 million for this season, correct?
Yeah.
Oh,
With a lot of incentives, which he's already checked a lot of them, including with the conference regular season championship, and advancing to again the Sweet 16.
man. Okay.
So yeah, so it might be bumped with the incentives to like 3.5, and then base next year is 3.4, and it increases by 100 million for the next 4 or 5 seasons after this season. So not quite 4 million yet,
Wow.
but I think he'll get there, and fans won't blink an eye to that. If it's 4 million, whatever. But compare that 3.3 million to 250,000. Dead last in the Big 12, and probably was just middle of the pack in the American.
Well, Kris, on the topic of finances at UH, has Will seen or heard about the article that dropped on Thursday, right before the Houston Cougars men's basketball team dropped about the football team and Dana Holgorsen's comments about his contract?
Go ahead, Will. Tell him, Andy.
No, I haven't.
Well, I'm not sure if it was a one-on-one sit-down with The Athletic, but long story short, Sam Khan of The Athletic, who actually is a UH alum, spent time with the University of Houston football team as kind of they're making that transition into the Big 12 and really kind of seeing how they're preparing to compete at the Big 12 level. And a quote in particular that made headlines in that article was what Dana Holgorsen on record said that there was a lot of talk, and he cited a specific ESPN article that came out during the 2022 season when Houston was struggling about Holgorsen being on the hot seat during the season. And Holgorsen pointed that out, and he basically discredited. He said, "What hot seat? Look at what I'm going to be paid in the next few years." He basically has a contract that cannot be bought out, essentially, is what he said in the quote. And let me see if I could get the direct quote in a second. But Kris, you could supplement while I look for the direct quote.
If that was Thursday, I didn't hear about it because that was the day my car got stolen. So I was doing all the insurance and police report stuff. I'm surprised none of my buddies texted me and said, did you hear what Dana said? But that's Dana. I mean, he's getting 4.3 million the upcoming season base salary, then 4.4 increase of 100,000 the next few years. His buyout is rich, but let's see, the buyout this year is 9.3 million. Next year is 7.2 million.
He said that's a contract.
He says that is a effing impossible buyout. That was the quote.
Come see me up here, buddy.
Yes, truly, because again,
to his point, his buyout.
I'll read the direct quote real quick because I did find it. It says, "We won 20 games in 2 years. We won bowl games in back-to-back years. I have 5 years on my contract with an effing impossible buyout. So there ain't no effing hot seat in my mind. There just ain't." End quote.
First of all, a couple things. If I'm the face of the program, if my football coach is the face of the program, I need a PR team because you giving me too many effings. Number one. Number two, 9.3 million is this year's buyout.
Yep.
Ryan Day's salary this year is 9.3 million. So if his salary is 9.3 million, what's his buyout? And it could be come up with very, 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 very quickly. So 9.3 is not an impossible buyout. 7.6,
7.2, 7.24.
That's not that's somebody who has a relationship with someone, and we've talked about it before.
Yeah, the owner of the Rockets. Yeah,
he knows he's not going anywhere. So I'm real reckless with my comments because I can say what I want because my man's got me.
Yeah, and he's probably right, unfortunately. So, but we know one win that Houston will get this coming season football, right, Andy?
Yep, October 21st against Texas. But what I real quickly, what I was gonna mention, and this is a shout out to Ryan Monsell of GoCougs.com. He kind of broke down Holgorsen's salary when that article did come out on Thursday. So, and this is from GoCougs. He said, in terms of buyout, Holgorsen is going to be owed 100% of his salary compensation for his salary / non-salary compensation in 2023, 2024, and 2025. So if it's on average 4.5 per year, that's roughly puts them at
13.5.
13.5, and then 60% of the final 2 years, which total, if he goes through the entire length of the contract, it's supposed to last all the way through December 31st, 2027. Total, if he saw the contract out, it'd be $22.5 million. If you look at a potential buyout and he would be let go at the end of this season, say they have a terrible intro to the Big 12, he would be owed $14.838 million, according to GoCougs.com. And $14.838 million of buying out the contract after this season if Houston decided to go that route.
Interesting.
But I'm with Will. He said those words because he's friends with Tillman. I said it. Yeah, Tillman, I said it. You can keep giving me strange looks when you see me at Rocket games. I said it. Whatever. But we'll see what the man does in football this coming season. A lot of fans, UH football fans, have low expectations already for the first year in the Big 12, outside of the one win and the guarantees the Cougs will get on October 21st. We can go into some more specifics about wins and losses as we progress, but football-wise, we can hope it. We don't expect it. But my man, well, you hear what he said? Andy said 20 wins, 2 bowl victories, 2 seasons. What's the Birmingham Bowl? What was the other one? Birmingham Independence Bowl?
Birmingham Bowl and the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana, against both teams were 6-6, I believe. It was a 6-6 Auburn team and a 6-6 Louisiana Raging Cajuns team.
Ooh. Does that impress you, Will?
Both before New Year's Day? Were there those pre-New Year's Day games?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, they were.
That's why I missed them.
Oh, Will, but you weren't impressed with that?
That's why.
Winning, the Independence Bowl and the Birmingham Bowl, that doesn't impress you, Will?
No.
Oh, Will, I'm shocked, Will. I mean, come on. But yeah.
Those impressed me. College football playoff wins impressed me. Not.
Well, it should impress people who say they want to be in big-time athletics.
Yeah.
Who say a lot of things, but then their actions don't back up their words. But one more time, thank you once again to 5 Star Properties. This show is sponsored by 5 Star Properties, a Dallas-based company owned by a UH alum. If you are facing foreclosure or you need to sell your house as is for cash, call 972-532-SELL or visit their website at 5starprops.com. That's FIVESTARPROPS.com. And with the season winding down, their sponsorship is also winding down. So we are looking for sponsors for FTS for these summer months, summer months, and then going forward for the football season as well. We're not going anywhere. So if you want to sponsor the show, hit us up and we'll make it happen. Our numbers are growing just like Let's Rate Cougs. So don't forget about us here on this side of the Houston Roundball View YouTube channel as well. Let's talk some men's basketball, Andy. Well, no. Well, Andy and Will, but yes.
Well, let's start with Michigan State, who just knocked off Marquette, and it's going to be advancing to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Right up there in Columbus.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to talk about. But I want to talk about, Will, your thoughts on Purdue. 1 seed losing to a 16 seed. Were you shocked?
I mean, shocked from the perspective of you never think one's going to lose to a 16, but knowing Purdue, seeing what I saw of them this year, not really. Their guard play was terrible, and they got exposed.
And that's what we said yesterday on the show. Let's rate Cougs, basically, yeah.
Yeah, they depended solely on Zach Edey and their guards, Fletcher Lawyer, and they just got outplayed big time.
So Michigan State making it to, how many is that? Is that one from the Big Ten? What's my count?
Yep, because Indiana's playing Miami right now, so they only have.
So yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let me check the.
So yeah, so Michigan State is the first team from the Big Ten to make it to the round of Sweet 16. SEC currently has 3, leading the way with Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama. Big 12 has 2, with Texas and Kansas State, with 2 more chances in TCU and Baylor. Baylor plays Creighton, and TCU plays Gonzaga. And I think the Big East. What is UConn and St. Mary's? What is that?
It's just on a commercial break, but it was close. UConn had the edge last time I checked.
Okay, so it's kind of a balance, a good representation. Pac-12, I think, is done with just 1. UCLA,
Creighton
right?
is up 8 on Baylor early in the first half.
Okay, it'd be ironic, Mr. Commissioner Brett Yormark, if Baylor and TCU do not win today, that the best conference in college basketball this season sends 2 teams to the Sweet 16, and the SEC sends 3, and the Big East sends more than that. Just saying. But somebody might say, well, Houston joined the Big 12 in July. Yes, but right now, they're not in the Big 12. They're in the American Athletic Conference with Mike Oresco. So, and he will surely point that out to anyone who asks him, especially considering
he already did during the conference tournament when he gave his media availability prior to Houston, Cincinnati in the semifinals.
And it's also considering the units that the Cougs earned this year will stay with the American for the next 6 years. They're not bringing those over to the Big 12.
Wow, 6 years.
So yes, keep that in mind as well.
Wow.
Well, I'm gonna be, as you call it, if you nickname me a few times, I'm gonna be Petty Pendergrass for a moment. Yes. Well. What's Memphis doing right now? What are they gonna be doing Friday?
Memphis.
Yeah, what are they gonna be doing?
The Grizzlies?
No. Tigers. What are they gonna be doing?
Oh yeah, watching like us.
Thank you. That's right. That's what they're gonna be doing.
Yep.
That was a brutal way to go out.
That was bad
against a future conference opponent.
Yes. So that rivalry is just beginning.
Beginning.
Just a little dig there, Will. I had to toss it out there.
Of course.
Because every so often we get one person, I think one troll comes on the channel here, the Memphis Tigers fan, and just, why are you taking your time to come on our show, talk about your program?
Yeah.
But when y'all lose, you're nowhere around, bro. Where you at? I don't, what's going on with that? But anyway, I digress. Okay, Kansas. I had not talked to Kenitra. KP, where you at? I haven't heard from you either since Kansas lost yesterday. Boy, were you surprised at that one?
No, I had Arkansas beating them. Eric Musselman is underrated. I mean, he had how many McDonald's All-American players come in? And no, that was not a shock for me. I don't like is that people want to use, Bill Self wasn't there and blame Norm Roberts, and that.
Yeah,
I don't like that. But no, I did not think Arkansas beating them was a shock.
Andy, were you surprised?
Can you repeat that question? Surprise of?
Were you surprised that Kansas lost?
I was a bit. Now, when I look at just how this tournament has been, it's been so crazy that it kind of loses the factor. But I certainly had Kansas going all the way to the Final Four or to the Elite Eight. I had them losing to UCLA in the West region, but I was certainly surprised that they weren't out as early as they did. But when you think about it, all the struggles that they've had, and specifically with Bill Self, which from a health perspective had to miss coaching the entire Big 12 tournament and couldn't coach into the NCAA tournament as well. it was a lot to overcome, but I was surprised as well. But kind of an interesting dig, I guess, how those quad one wins couldn't battle them out of the second round.
All those quad one wins being in the best conference in basketball too. Seth Davis. But anyway, DeJuan Harris, point guard, his injury also hurt them. Guards, you got to have good guards. You got to have quality guards and more than one, you know. But it's just great to see the tournament still going on. Yeah, the views, I'm not sure what happened with the views. It just like zoomed up. I don't know if something's going on. We'll find out later on. Like 124, that's a number I've never seen before on any of our shows here on the Houston
I'll
Roundball
take
Review.
this opportunity to get our live audience to remind everybody to watch Let's Rage Cougs Friday after the Houston Cougars play the winner of Miami and or Indiana in the Sweet 16, the unofficial postgame show of Houston Cougars football and men's basketball. Of course, from a storyline perspective, it'd be really, really interesting if the Hoosiers defeat Miami and it's Kelvin Sampson going off against Indiana in the Sweet 16. But hey, we don't know what's going on with the viewers, but while you're at it, please be sure to hit subscribe and like on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel and also the Pastime Jamma YouTube channel.
Well said, my man. Yep. Smash that like button on the Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. These final few minutes of Folks Talkin Sports, sponsored by 5 Star Properties. We're going to talk some Rockets in NBA. Well, the Rockets have won 3 in a row. Jabari Smith is playing like his skill set that he has. But go ahead, what we're going to say.
Well, no, 3 in a row, but I think it's important who they beat.
Lakers.
Yep.
Celtics and Pelicans. And all close wins, too.
Right. What? I mean, close wins? Wait a minute. They didn't get blown out? Oh, I'm sorry.
Jabari hit a game-winning three-pointer against the Pels that they're playing again right now in the home game, the home series. They play the Warriors tomorrow in Houston. The Warriors have lost, like 11 in a row on the road? So we'll see if the Rockets do that again, beat them.
Well, they 7-29 on the road. That's crazy. They have a worse record. They have a worse road record than the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah,
Warriors do. That's amazing.
Yep.
And they won in Cleveland without everybody playing. I digress, but okay.
And the Warriors, 2 of Detroit's 16 wins are against the Warriors. So go figure that. But as the Rockets have won 3 in a row, I'm not sure of the score right now, but I think it's an indication where we touched on it on last Saturday's show. Andy, I think, agrees with us. Players don't tank.
No.
Okay?
No.
Organizations, they rest players. They have the funny lineups. They tell coach you shouldn't play so-and-so 70 minutes. I think you need to sit him. Don't start him. Sit him. He needs a rest. Players want to win. Okay? Rockets have won 3 in a row. When Jabari hit that three-pointer to beat the Pelicans, Jalen Green was one of the first Rocket teammates to give him high fives and congratulate him. Funny, for a while there, I thought they hated each other.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative that you hear from folks outside of the city, outside the national people who I haven't seen in town all year, but somehow they know what's going on in the locker room better than local media does. Where are y'all now? What are you saying now about who the Rockets have beaten in these 3 games and how they played in these 3 games? And Jalen Green's doing a good job. Jabari's played well last 5 games. I think Jabari is like 20-9, shooting 50% from 3. That's pretty good. He's not a bust.
No.
Yes, he needs to be more consistent. Like all rookies, hell, like all pros need to be consistent. But I'm just saying, the locker room stuff, I get on my box on that one because locker room, I the times I've been in the locker room, I haven't seen any of that. None of it. But Andy, your thoughts from your perspective on the Rockets team that is older than the Cougars? No, the Cougars older than the Rockets.
That's exactly what you want to see from a young team perspective, that they're figuring out ways to win. And Kris and Will, like you alluded to, being able to pull out some of these close wins, especially a young team. From a fan perspective, there's going to be a lot of fans that are like, no, they're winning too many games. They need to stop doing this and that, and whatnot. I mean, in a lottery system, it doesn't really matter when it comes to that. I think it's much more certainly important for these young guys to be able to have some of those wins, because at the end of the day, it does take it. So look at a player like Jalen Green for the past 2 seasons has been bombarded with losses. Şengün, Kevin Porter Jr., he's been here since before Green. The moment Harden left, he's been through a lot of losses. I'm sure that's got to take a mental toll and getting into losing habits. And when, like you said, Jabari Smith, who hasn't even finished his rookie season, had his struggles like every rookie is going to have. Like you said, every player is going to have. He's a rookie. He's not expected to come in here and be the second coming of LeBron James from the. He shouldn't be expected to do that, even though he was a top 3 pick. And he slowly continued to build, and that's the progression that you want to see. And slowly but surely, the progress is got to be the optimistic thing that you want to see from such a young team. And that's what you're trying to build, because even if these players aren't going to be the core once you get competitive again, the more they develop, the more you can, it'll help you out in trying to build a true contending team in the future, regardless of what pick you end up with in the draft come May.
Well said. Will, LeBron James in it, Jabari struggle like most rookies. LeBron James, as great as he was as a rookie, he struggled.
Yep.
It's these are not robots. Okay, you're going to struggle. It's just a question of, do you continue to put in the work? You get in the gym, minimize your weaknesses, and strengthen your weaknesses, and then continue to strengthen your strengths. Jabari is one of those players. He works on his game. He's not content. He knows his shot wasn't falling. He didn't just say, well, I'll work on it in the offseason. He puts in the work. These Rockets, they work. They want to get better. They lack experience. Some of them are playing out of position. A lot of different factors. But these guys work hard. And that's important, because if the Rockets, if these players, any players in the NBA, any pro sport, if they don't want to get better, get rid of them. Because if you have a team full of players who don't want to put in the work, that is a losing locker room, because they're a bunch of losers.
Yep.
We're going to wrap it up. Will, let me see if I get the info ready for you so you can let everybody know how to get in touch with you.
Can I
got it, my man. Go ahead.
Can I say something before I get my info?
Please do. Yeah.
Because somebody talking about trolls, people came at me last week, and I got to clarify something. Yes, I understand Kevin Warren technically is Big Ten commissioner until April 17th. I know that. However, in the concept and in the grand scheme of things, he's not negotiating new teams coming in, taking applications for Arizona and Oregon. I get that. I understand. But I know, yes, he's still there until April 17th on paper, officially. Just wanted to say that. And then 2, shout out to my alma mater, John R. Buchtel High School in Akron, Ohio, who won the boys Division II state championship in basketball this morning. Cool. First time, and since 1986, 37 years, a public school in the city of Akron won a state basketball championship. So shout out to the Buchtel Griffins, Coach Rayshawn Dent, his staff, the players, the families, the parents, the communities. Proud to be a Griff. 1040. I'll explain that off air, but 1040 is the address. 1040 Southley Road. So it's always 1040.
Congrats.
Thank you. How to find me? Will Gibson 7 on Twitter and Instagram. Will Knowles on Facebook.
And Andy, before I switch it to you, nothing concrete regarding Pac-12, Big 12, Pac-12. I think last couple of days I heard that they were supposedly getting closer to announcing some sort of numbers regarding their media rights deal. Should be coming like tomorrow, the next couple of days. We'll see how that all plays out. But until it happens, I'm not even going to. We're not spending too much time on it. Will, what was the thing? What was the comical thing we talked about 3 weeks ago? What was it? The merger between the Big 12 and the Pac-12?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Right.
Oh, my bad. Nowhere. It went nowhere.
Yeah.
Folks, consider the sources of some of this information. Truly. Andy, you got it, man. How can folks get in contact with you?
Yes, sir. They can follow me on Twitter at @Yanez_5. And like I mentioned a moment ago, we're not exactly sure what that spike was. Maybe it was all the Michigan State fans that were trying to find some college basketball content after they defeated Marquette. But of course, be sure to be back on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel on Friday night. I'm sure it'll be sometime on Friday for hashtag Let's Rage Cougs After Dark, following Houston's Sweet 16 game. Like I said, Indiana and Miami are just under an hour before they're set to tip off, and the winner of that game will take on the Cougs. Exciting time. 4 straight years that the Cougars have been in the Sweet 16 under Kelvin Sampson. Of course, there was no NCAA tournament in 2020, so excluding that one, it's going back to 2019. And it's just an amazing moment. So like we mentioned, continue to live in the moment. And like I said, thank you to all the UH fans that I've met over the course of the past 2 weeks. Kris, I'm sure you've met some as well in Fort Worth. They came and they say they watched the shows, whether it be Folks Talkin Sports or whether it be Let's Rage Cougs. I had a couple of the parents from the players on the men's basketball team come up to me and said that a family member or they themselves watched the show, which is amazing to hear as well. We can never say thank you enough for the support, because it's awesome. It's truly awesome to be able to get to meet fellow UH alums and part of the University of Houston family and essentially get that support that there's people watching and not only watching, but they enjoy it and they say thank you for coverage and for just doing the show, which is amazing.
It is much appreciated. Thank you to the Arsenaults, the Sassers. I know those two families watch our shows. Specifically, they watch our shows. So thank you to everyone. Wanda, Juan, Mr. Big Texco, everybody who watches the show, comments during the show. We have Will on the show for his Power 5 perspective from the Ivy Tower. That is the Ohio State University. Hold on. Go ahead.
So next year when y'all in the Power 5, I can't be on?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, you're going to continue being on the
perspective.
You'll be a Power 2 perspective at that point. but yes.
All right.
But Will's going to be part of the show from a national perspective, because his insight helps to really back up some of the stuff that we say Houston claims to do or claims to want to be, when y'all say, what are you talking about? We'll give you the example of how it's done at a big-time athletic program. So that's another reason why he's on the show, and will continue being on the show. Will Gibson, thank you very much. And I think everybody, all three of us, Andy, your birthday has come and gone, right?
Correct. It happened during the American Athletic Conference tournament. It was the Saturday that Houston and Cincinnati played.
So yeah, all three of our birthdays are in this month. So go figure how that all. It's funny how life works, man. But yes, thank you to everybody who watches our show, who supports us. And if you are interested in being a sponsor of Folks Talkin Sports, contact me on Twitter or email me, direct message me, whatever. Twitter at VHR Review. Website HoustonRoundballReview.com. Houston Roundball Review on Instagram. It's been a lot of fun talking about a lot of sports. And if you missed it, one more time to recap, Ronald Hughey, UH women's basketball head coach, his salary dead last among coaches in the Big 12. Dead last, $250K. Dead last by a wide margin. Going into his 10th season in the first year in the Big 12, but 10th season overall as head coach. 0 trips to the NCAA tournament. Perhaps Houston gets what they pay for. So there you go on that. Our comments are done. Go enjoy the Rockets and the rest of the men's and women's NCAA tournament action. Oh, real quick, Will.
Yes, sir.
Did Ohio State women's hockey win today?
No. Wisconsin beat them in the final.
So is it 1-0? What's the final score?
I did not see a score, but I did see I saw it come across my ticker, my screen during the show. I didn't catch the score, but yeah, it was Wisconsin winning the national championship over the Lady Buckeyes.
So, and that was Ohio State won last year, so they're going for back-to-back, right?
Right. They beat Minnesota last year.
Yep. So I just flipped to it earlier today, and last I saw was a 1-0 score.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for that update right there. Everyone, thank you as always for watching Folks Talkin Sports, Folks Talk Sports on Twitter. And we will see you, let's see, Cougs play Friday.
If they win Sunday.
If they win Friday, then it's Sundays. We'll figure it out. Might have to do a show on Saturday. Just figure it out. Subscribe to the Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that bell so you can receive notifications about our shows. Thank you again for everybody. Until then, take care. Peace.